Okay. Hello, good evening, every venerables. And
Good evening.
yeah, good evening, everyone who are watching us right now. Welcome to Monkchat Live. Okay, it's a Facebook Live from Chiang Mai, from a Monkchat program to discuss about the Dharma in English. And today we have a special topic to discuss about the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, or Mahayana Buddhism. And I have invited one of the Chinese monk that he's friend of us, and in actually he have an experience in the Mahayana Buddhist tradition for a long time. So today is a great opportunity for us to listen from him to get to know more different aspects of the Mahayana Buddhist tradition. And welcome you all to all the venerables. Okay. Hello, good evening. And let me greet all the followers first. Hello, Pra Damatiri. Okay, thank you for watching. Pra Chai, Chittapon, Pra Tong. Okay, this is our followers who are watching us right now. Okay, thank you for watching us. And don't forget who are watching us right now. If you want to participate to this Facebook Live, you can comment, write some question. Okay, after that we will bring into the group and we will discuss more after we have a presentation, some presentation from our Pixu Lai Dong. Pixu Lai Dong. I have invited him today. Okay. Okay. So first of all, I would like him to introduce himself officially to our viewers right now? That who is he? Okay, and after that we will have conversation. Hello.
Uh, Hello, good evening, everyone. Uh, my name is Laidong, and I was ordained as a monk in China in 2015, and later in 2016, I went to Thailand for study. I studied at Mahachula IBSC for 3 years for my PhD program. And then I came back to China. Now, presently, I am a Dharma teacher at Guangzhou Curling Academy in China. Basically, what I am right now doing is to teach Dharma and to translate. So that is what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm practicing Pure Land Buddhism in Mahayana. However, I am staying in a monastery that belongs to Chan tradition, or another word, Zen tradition. This monastery I'm staying in actually is quite famous because of the sixth patriarch Huineng. Um, he had a famous saying that when he's approaching an argument between two monks, one of them was saying um, the flag was moving in the wind, and the other monk said, no, it was not the wind, it was not the flag that was moving, but it was the wind that triggered the flag to move. And then at this moment, Huineng approached and said, it was neither the wind that was moving nor the flag that was moving, but it is your heart that is moving. So the famous quote actually happened here in this monastery. If you're one of the Mahayana Buddhist followers, then you must know this story. So that is the temple that I am staying in with that famous quote. All right, so that's my introduction.
Thank you very much. Today we have invited you to join this conversation in order to, specifically uh, talking deeper about the life of the Mahayana Buddhist monk. Because when we were in Monkchat, we also were asked by the foreigners a lot about uh, Buddhism in China, Korea, Japan, Taiwan. So that's why today we also brought some question from the frequently asked by the foreigners in Monkchat. Um, in any way, I would like to hand over to Prabhu to maybe ask some, begin the question, and after that I will, follow by some question.
Okay, thank you very much, Preston. So I would like to start with a very simple question, and actually that I really want to know about the Mahayana Buddhism. So uh, the question is, can you tell us about a little bit about your daily routine and what do you usually do in a day? Okay, can you like tell us about that?
Well, uh, for the daily routine, it's almost similar to the life in Theravada monasteries. Here, we also have morning chanting and evening chanting and meditation periods. and also Dharma talk. These are the common things. I think what is different is that probably for Mahayana monks, we also have to engage in some activities, particularly chanting for the benefit of the Buddhist followers, the lay people. And also, we also chant for the deceased, for um, their merit, so that they can get reborn in a wholesome realm. This is what we normally do in the Mahayana monastery. And in some monasteries, like my previous monastery, in a mountain, then in those monasteries, you have to do farm work in order to support yourself, because in those places, alms round is not quite possible, so you have to rely on yourself. Therefore, we have to do farm work in the mountain, in a mountainous monastery. Let me see what's more. I think pretty much same with those things that you have to do in a Theravada monastery. Here we also have city monks and forest monks, so almost similar. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any more question, Prabhu?
Yeah, just I never know that it actually Mahayana monk also have how to say arms round. So yes.
Well, arms round. Mm-hmm.
So
well, arms round is also occasionally conducted, but it's not very common. It's not very common. Even for city monks, we don't do arms round. We just accept donation from the followers, from the devotees, basically in the form of money.
So basically, so how the temple, what was the temple supported by the villagers or the community or something? So it is similar to like the temple in Thailand that you were in.
Well, in terms of the community support, I think it's quite different. We do not have this very organized system like that in Thailand. Here, Buddhist followers are very few. The percentage, I guess, in the whole population might be like around 10%. So it's not possible to organize such a very structured system between monks and the laity. So not like that in Thailand. However, the Buddhist devotees will also support monastics in a regular base, not daily, but maybe every week or every month. It depends.
Okay, thank you very much. So another thing that I've been curious for a long time, and actually since I was young, and actually I watch videos or like the movies from the media, and actually we have heard about like most of the foreigner when it comes to chat with monk, and the first thing that occur in their mind is about the martial art. Can monk do martial art or something? So I couldn't really answer the question. And actually, is that really existing in China or something? Because they have a Shaolin temple or something.
Yes, yes, we do have Shaolin Temple. However, this is a little bit complicated. Um, well, there are two parts that you have to understand. The first part is the spiritual part. The spiritual part is based on something similar to like Gaya Nusadi. Yeah,
Oh,
I guess so. Because the movement of the body, if you observe it really deep, and then you will feel the energy within the body flowing within the body, and then little by little you will get enlightened because of this deep observation of the body. For sure, that is one more than Gayanusati. I guess it also incorporates some elements, some teachings, spiritual teachings from Taoism, because in Taoism they have a very deep, profound knowledge about the energy and the chakras, things like that in Taoism. So for Shaolin monks, when they practice martial arts, they can also get access to this kind of knowledge. Hence, the spiritual level can also be increased because of this knowledge as the foundation. So that's the spiritual part. And then for the other practical part, or we call it mundane part, that is just for right now it's for physical health. But in the ancient time, it was quite necessary for monks to do martial arts because there were times of wars and chaos. So monks are sometimes were sometimes in the position where they need to protect themselves as well as the surrounding villages from bad guys. So they needed to take this responsibility. So there was one time Shaolin Temple and the surrounding villages was attacked by those bad people. So some of these monks they were organized and then they learned martial arts from those who could do martial art, and then gradually they developed into some kind of very organized way of practicing. So they protected themselves as well as the villages, and later they were praised by the emperor at that time. And then it was officially supported by the authority, and then they were allowed to do certain things in order to practice. For example, they were only monks in China that were allowed to drink alcohol. They were only the monks um, that were allowed to eat meat. So they are quite exceptional. They are quite different from the rest of the monks. And not all of the monks in China are practicing martial arts. No, not at all. There is only one temple in China, that is Shaolin Temple, that is allowed to practice martial art, and they are guaranteed with official permission. The rest, like the rest of them, no, not at all. Okay, so however, somehow this Shaolin Temple is so famous because of the movies uh, and other things. They are so famous, so they can kind of representing all of the Chinese monks, and that's something um, not fair actually. Believe me, more than 99.999% of Chinese monks are not Shaolin monks, not martial monks. We do not practice martial arts. Okay, that's the fact.
Okay, that's clear.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now I have
okay.
Okay.
I have a
Okay,
question
please.
here, Bhiksu. How many monks
Yes.
would you say are in China? How many monks do you think there are in China?
Well, including bhikkhuni, including bhikkhuni and Tibetan monks, and also we have Theravada monks. I think all of them are included. Then I guess it's 0.3 million. I guess so. Around that number, maybe less, 0.2 million, I guess. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. 0.2 to 0.3 million. Yeah, that's the safe range.
All right. Let me begin with this question concerning to the tradition that you are like practicing. You said that Pure Land. You said it again. Pure Land.
Yes.
Pure
Yeah,
Land.
Pure Land Buddhism.
Pure Land Buddhism.
Yes.
And
Like
can you tell us the?
Yeah, Sukhavati in Sanskrit.
Okay, can you tell us the brief history about this and how is it developed? Even there are Zen Buddhism or there is another subsection. Can you tell us
Okay.
brief history about that?
Okay. The whole history in short is like this. Okay, in the beginning, China got all of these kinds of schools, including Theravada, including Mahayana, including Vajrayana, all of these schools. Basically, we have 10 schools. Some say 8, but whatever the number is, there were so many. But later, we experienced some kinds of political movements in the ancient time. I think 3 times. 3 times. So some of the scriptures and texts got lost. So monks needed to rely on some more practical methods. Therefore, they developed a purely practical purpose that is based on meditation, without too much words and text reference. So that school was established, and we call it the Zen school in Japanese, but in Chinese is a Chan. Actually, the word Zen comes from Chinese Chan, and the Chinese Chan, and this character Chan. So it came from originally from Sanskrit, Chana. So the name indicates that this school is basically focused on meditation. So this school is very prominent and is very popular right now, and also it was almost quite dominant at that time in China. So like 90% of the monasteries in China are Chan schools. So 90% of the monasteries in China are practicing Chan Buddhism, which is a little bit different from the Theravada meditation. What we practice is kind of meditation that directly points to the mind, and that mind we believe that is directly the same with the Buddha's mind. So the ordinary sentient being and the Buddha's mind actually is the same mind, but 2 different sides. When you are lost, when you are not mindful, then you're ordinary sentient being. When you are mindful, then this is the Buddha's mind. So this is the basic theory. This is the basic theory. So when we practice this, we just focus on our mind. We don't focus on like body, feeling, sensation, like 4 foundations of mindfulness. We don't do that. And also we focus mainly on the subject, that is the cognizer or we call it perceiver. That the mind that can know, that the mind that can recognize, that the mind that can cognize, and not the object part. Because in Theravada tradition, you basically focus on the object part. For example, you focus on the nose, focus on the breath, focus on body and your sensation. So these are the perceived and cognized part. So in Chan tradition, we basically focus on the other end, that is the subject end. So that's basically what we practice.
Okay. Okay, very interesting. Okay. What Bhiksu Laidong have said that he compare the ordinary mind and the Bodhi mind. You know, when we lost concentration on the mind that full of kilesa, that's ordinary mind. And you know, when we learn how to be mindful, how to uh, like use wisdom to apply wisdom to our duties, and that's the Bodhi mind. Okay, he's come back.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Something wrong with the internet. All right, so
Okay.
later, 200 years late, so like 200 years ago, so this kind of practice became declining because of less enlightened people, and also because of other issues. But anyway, it became very difficult for people to practice this method. So gradually people get to practice another method which developed from this one, because people were wondering, even we have gotten enlightened, that doesn't mean that we can get out of the samsara. Something like, for example, when you achieve sotapanna, that doesn't mean that you can get out of the samsara. You need still practice, and then you achieve arhat, right? You achieve arhatship. So the same thing goes with Mahayana. Even you achieve enlightenment, it doesn't mean that you can get out of the samsara world. For us, we need to achieve at least the 8th Bhumi Bodhisattva, which is equivalent to Arhat in the Theravada side. So when you achieve 8 Bodhisattva, that is really difficult, right? So you need to, on one hand, you need to get out of the samsara. On the other hand, you have to, well, the time is not enough. So you have to, on one hand, you have to get out of the samsara. On the other hand, you only have this one life to do, right? So this is a kind of a contradiction. So some people, of course, they choose to get reborn in this samsara world again and again until they achieve this final, or this kind of final liberation. But for others, they don't want to get reborn in the samsara again and again. And enlightenment is so difficult right now. Even the enlightenment is very difficult. So people began to wondering what to do. And actually, there was a sutra at that time available, and also right now it's available. It's called Amitabha Buddha's Buddha speaks Amitabha Buddha. So this sutra is not available in Tipitaka, not available in Theravada's text, but it was translated from Sanskrit to Chinese. So we have this sutra, and according to this sutra, even you are not enlightened, even you are not arhat, even you are not 8 Bhumi Bodhisattva, you can still get out of the samsara. How is that possible? It's possible because there is another world system that is not the same with this world system. It's a little bit difficult for Theravada people to understand it. Anyway, like for Theravada, you think that this is the whole universe, and there are layers like Deva's realm and human realm and ghost realm, hell, like that. So in Theravada, you think that this is the world, okay? This is the world. But what I'm saying is this together is a world system, okay? And then according to the sutra I mentioned, there is another world system. There is another world system. So we think that this world system is called samsara, and that world system, we call it Pure Land. And it is different from this world system because in that world system, we call it Pure Land. In that system, there is still Buddha, and the Buddha is called Amitabha Buddha. And the Buddha is teaching right now. In this system, in this world system, samsara world system, the Shakyamuni Buddha has already entered Nibbana, right? So in that system, the Buddha is still teaching Dharma. So we need to get reborn in that Pure Land, in that world system. And in that system, there is no unwholesome realm, and there is only one realm, okay? That is the Pure Land. It doesn't have this kind of a ghost realm or hell or things like that. So in that world system, you are quite safe. You will not go to the unwholesome realm. You can learn Dharma and practice Dharma with the Amitabha Buddha all the time because the life there is quite long. It's long enough for you to achieve Buddhahood. So you can become Buddha in that world system. If you want to become an arhat, of course, you can take a vow and get reborn there, and you can achieve arhat there also. So the conditions there are perfect, not cold, not hot. Okay, life is so long, and you don't have to cook because as long as you think, the food is there. So the environment is very, very good that you don't have any attachment because even you have the root of attachment, but there is no condition for you to have this unwholesome unwholesome acts. For example, anger and greed. These kinds of unwholesome acts are not possible because everything is so plentiful that you don't have to compete with others. You don't have to, like, you will always be satisfied. So anyway, life condition is so good there, and it's very good for you to practice that.
Okay, so all this
the most important thing, there's
is
the
in
Buddha
the
there.
okay, in the Amitabha Sutra, right?
Sutra, yeah.
Okay, it's a special sutra for the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, not include in the Tripitaka in Theravada, right? For this concept of like a pure land and the land of the Buddha.
Well, the Pure Land is not a Deva's land, not a Deva's land in this samsara. No.
Okay. I just want to make sure my understanding. All right. So very interesting that this how like a different connected,
I have a question here for the
because
Mahayana
there is a very yes.
Okay,
yes.
Venerable Piku.
So in
Venerable
Varapanyu. So in some circles of Theravada, is it Buddha Dasa? Yeah, Buddha Dasa. So in some circles of Theravada Buddhism, there is the understanding that when the Buddha taught about the different realms, the ghost realm and the animal realm, and when the Buddha taught about being reborn into these realms of existence, what the Buddha meant was more of a kind of a system of understanding the mind and understanding the self that is constantly changing and constantly developing. So if you are, if you are in a state of being pulled around by your hunger and your sensual desire and your desire for sleep, then in that moment, in that experience, you are an animal. You are born into the animal realm. The same way with you are doing many bad deeds, and now you are in a state of very deep suffering. So now you are in the hell realm. So one very famous monk who went into this and discussed this was Ajahn Buddha Dasa, is a Thai forest monk. And I'm wondering if in the system that you're talking about, in this Pure Land system, is there also a similar kind of interpretation or thinking?
I think yes. I'm told. So the interpretation is exactly the same with the Mahayana. Okay. The I like to say a little bit background here. So when we are talking about Mahayana, it seems that Mahayana is different from Theravada. Actually, that is not the case. The case is that for Mahayana, we have this Theravada, and this is another layer. This layer is called a Bodhisattva path, this Bodhisattva path, or we call it Bodhicitta. So Theravada plus this one, I guess, is the whole thing of Mahayana. So basically what I mean is that Mahayana is Theravada add something and then Mahayana, right? So just now, our friend talked about this interpretation of the realms from the perspective of our own mental state. Actually, in Mahayana, it's the same interpretation. And for the Pure Land, it can be interpreted also in this way, that because your heart is pure there in the Pure Land, so you don't attract these unwholesome realms. Because as I just mentioned, that in the Pure Land, everything is so plentiful, and also because Amitabha Buddha's blessing, so everything is so serene and peaceful. So there is no evil thought or evil acts. So it's not possible to attract those realms. And also this Pure Land was created by the what can I say, create? Not a good word, but anyway, for the convenience, I will use the word create. Okay, so it was created by the power or by the will or by the vow, by the determination of Amitabha Buddha. Oh, by his merit, his vow, his merit. So this Pure Land came into existence, and also if the way we get reborn in that Pure Land also needs the same attraction. Like we also have the same like a pure heart, and we have, most importantly, we have the vow, we have the action, we have the will, 信愿行, faith, we have the faith, we have the will, and we have the action. So these three conditions will guarantee you to get reborn in the Pure Land. And one more thing is that according to Mahayana, we have branch called Yogacara. So according to Yogacara, everything is manifested into being from our mind. Okay, the same goes with Dhammapada, right? Dhammapada, the first verse. Like, I'm not quite sure if I'm citing the correct verse. In Dhammapada, but the Dhammapada, right? The first verse, you are also talking about the mind makes things, something like that. So in Mahayana, we also say like that, but in a more systematic way. So this whole Pure Land is the manifestation of the mind. Fundamentally, is the mind of the Amitabha and those sentient beings that are attracted to this Pure Land. So that's my answer.
Okay. Very interesting so far for your explanation. Okay. Okay, we got a question from Pradama Siri. Maybe this, concern to your question. He asked that is Amitabha Buddha is the creator?
Well, you can't say. I just as I said, this is not a good word. He's not the creator, not in the sense of Christianity, like the God in Christianity, not in that sense. It's more like what I said in Dhammapada. You have the mind, whatever you are is the result of your mind, right? I can't remember the exact verse in Dhammapada, the first one. So it's because of your mind. Your mind has power, all right? So it's also according to Padija Samubhata. So as I said, that the manifestation of this Pure Land is the Padija Samubhata, is based on Padija Samubhata, is based on the will and merit of the Amitabha Buddha, as well as those people, sentient beings, who have this similar will and merits, not similar merits, I mean, the similar frequency. I'm not sure if this is the correct word, but frequency is the closest word that I can think of, that they have the similar frequency. Yeah, so together, all of this combined together, all these conditions combined together, then we have the Pure Land. So it's based on Padisha Samvada. And also Pure Land is anatta. It doesn't have its essence, okay? Doesn't have
Right.
intrinsic nature.
All right, so I want to know that how is the process to become Mahayana
Nibbana,
monk,
all right?
to ordain?
Pure Land is not Nibbana. You have to attain Nibbana there by practicing that.
Maybe it's delay. Okay, I just want to know the process to become Mahayana monk. Okay, how is this going on? According to Thailand, there are
I see
many
a
purposes.
question here. I see from Pravon. Pravon said, actually, this. Well, you mean the purposes of becoming a monk in China, right?
And also
the
including.
purpose, I have to say it's quite pure in China. The purpose is to get out of samsara, to end the dukkha. The reason is because in China, it's not permitted, culturally not tolerable, not so tolerant towards monks. Because in our culture, we are deeply influenced by Confucianism. So for Confucianism, you have to get married, you have to give birth to a son so that the lineage of your family can go on and on. So this is the mainstream idea. And of course, monkhood can be a threat to this kind of ideology. So we are quite not so encouraged in China this occupation. Therefore, for those who really want to become a monk, must overcome a lot of the hindrances, especially those from the family. So it's not easy. It's quite difficult. And also, right now, China kind of is kind of getting richer than before. So people don't have to like in order to get a living as a monkhood. So they can do a lot of other jobs. Why becoming a monk, right? So they can get much higher salary um, by doing other jobs. So becoming a monk means you have to face a lot of difficulty from their family, from the society, and you have to sacrifice your mundane pleasure. Especially in China, we have a lot of pleasures to enjoy right now. So basically, becoming a monk, there is only one purpose, that is to end the suffering. Theoretically speaking, I'm saying, so theoretically. But it doesn't mean that all of the monks in China, they are pursuing the same goal and they are practicing with the same amount of time and energy corresponding to that aim, to that goal. So I'm not saying that because many, as I observe, that they are not actually practicing really hard in order to get their goal uh, due to quite a lot of conditions. So I see quite similar, like Thai monks and Chinese monks. Some of them are quite lazy, some of them are really hardworking, so everywhere. But in general, Chinese monks are quite are like more pure, like purer in terms of purpose. Okay.
Can you stop become a
Bhiksu,
monk? Oh, okay, sorry.
Mhm.
Bhiksu, if someone were to say to you that there is no tea in China, in all of China, there is not a single leaf of tea, what would you say to that person?
Tea? You mean drinking tea?
If
Are
someone
you
say
saying
to you,
tea or another word? I'm
no,
sorry.
listen, if someone say to you, there is not a single leaf of tea in all of China, what will you say to them?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to say you'd better come and see by yourself. That's the most direct uh, answer. Uh, as I said just now, that is my personal observation because I stayed in Thailand for 3 years. I went to the forest monk and I went to the city monasteries. Actually, monks in Thailand are quite nice. I'm not, when I was saying that part, I wasn't criticizing those practices in Thailand. I didn't mean that. What I mean is that because in Thailand, you have the tradition, right? Uh, that male, like boys or men, whatever. So you have to mm, get ordained as a monk or samanera for a short period of time in order to fulfill some kind of rituals or ceremony because your parents passed away, or because you want to get married for a certain reason. I don't know. So in China, we don't have that ritual. We don't have that culture. So it's almost quite impossible to imagine that the person tries to become a monk for a short period of time. That's totally not acceptable in China. So that's the reason why I said that our purpose is different. I didn't mean that there is no monks in Thailand that is aimed in practicing and aimed for Nibbana. I didn't mean that. Actually, I observed so many diligent monks, and they are so good in practicing, and they encouraged me a lot. To some extent, they practice much better than most of the Chinese monks, I have to say.
Let me show you these comments. Maybe some monk's friend of Bhiksu Laidong, he quote the Dhammapada, "Mind is the forerunner of all states, mind is the chief, mind made are they." And yeah, this is
That's
what
right.
you have
That's
referred.
right. That's what I want
Is
to
this
say.
is it his friend? NG
Yes.
Xin Chao?
No, no.
No,
I think
no.
he's from Hong Kong. I think he's from Hong Kong, right? Xing
Okay,
Zhao. I think Xing Zhao. Yeah.
Xin Chao. Yes. Okay. Thank you for more
Thank you
explanation about
for the
the
reference.
Dhammapada. Yeah, for the reference. Okay, very nice. Prabun, you go for some question concerned to what we have discussed so far.
Yeah, just curious about you talk about the Amitabha Buddha. Is that really mean like in Theravada tradition, and actually they had a belief about the next Buddha, and they talk about the Metaya Buddha, the next Buddha, the coming Buddha. So in your tradition, Mahayana Buddhism, uh, do you like have this kind of story or something that relates to the what is in the Theravada Buddhism?
Okay,
Yeah,
now we are waiting
this
for.
disconnect.
You disconnect. But I know a little bit about this. You
Uh,
know, have you ever seen? You ever see the fat Buddha, the statue of the fat Buddha? So this statue is based on a very old monk. You know, a story about a very old monk in China. But they say that this monk is the representation of Maitreya Buddha. So when you see the fat Buddha, that is the Mahayana Maitreya Buddha. Maybe he can answer more.
Yeah, I totally
Bhiksu,
agree. Micro Buddha, yeah. Yes, that's
yeah,
right. That's
they
my
asking
Buddha.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. I have one. Just a moment. I'll show you.
oh, that okay.
It's
This
very
fat
fat
Buddha.
and so happy. Okay.
Yes,
So
that's the Maitreya Buddha, and our understanding of Maitreya Buddha is the same with the Theravada Buddhism. So no difference. But only thing is that some of the stories in China said that there are many manifestations of Maitreya Buddha. He manifested as a human being, sometimes as a monk. Like that monk was used to be his manifestation. So that's my answer.
Okay. For next question, okay, let me bring some question from Prathamasiri. He want to know that what is the difference between Gautama Buddha and Amitabha Buddha? Can you explain a little bit about this?
Okay, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. According to Mahayana, all of the Buddhas, they share the same body, that is Dhammagaya. Of course, it's different from the Dhammagaya in Thailand, okay? Maybe, I'm not quite sure because I don't quite understand Dhammagaya in Thailand. But in Mahayana, all of the Buddhas, they are actually one. They are the Dhamma, they have the origin of Dhammagaya, and Dhammagaya is the Dhamma itself. So in that sense, they are same, but they have different manifestations. They are the manifestation for the different sentient beings. For this world system, in the Saha world, right? In this samsara world, so the sentient beings somehow like require a kind of Buddha, like Gautama Buddha. So his manifestation is for the sentient beings in this world. And then manifestation for the sentient beings in the Pure Land. So I guess that's the difference. And also another relationship is that it was Gautama Buddha who talked about Amitabha Buddha. Because for some of the sentient beings who found practicing very difficult, right? On one hand, practicing is very difficult. On the other hand, they want to get out of the samsara. So that's the reason that Amitabha Buddha is talked about, is mentioned. So
okay, many question
that
I
is
got in the comment.
that is the teaching of convenience.
Sorry. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me show you some also share some knowledge about Mitraya Buddha is the fat statues, is the when Master Putai. Putai, here's, sorry, can you read it?
Budai, yeah.
Putai.
Yeah, Budai.
In
Mm-hmm.
Tang Dynasty, administration of Mitraya
Yeah,
Bodhisattva.
that's right.
Okay. Let me go to the question of Pra Sampanayakam Bhikkhu. Okay, may I show respect to all venerables? How do Mahayana Buddhist monk or religious thinker think about buildings? For example, building a preaching hall or Buddhist apartments. Can monks do something like that, or only lay people do that? All right. What do you mean by building
Building
like
the preaching hall or Buddhist apartments? Okay, I see.
Okay, maybe
okay.
you can start.
That depends on how you perceive it. If you just measure the Mahayana monks with the Theravada like Vinaya, actually we share the same Bhikkhu Vinaya, the same, almost the same, with very little differences. And in the Sekya version, we can say, yeah, the same, all right, the same Bhikkhu Vinaya we have. The thing is that some of the Vinayas are quite difficult to practice, to follow in China. For example, you need to take off the shoes when you are circumambulate the pagoda, right? That's a little, it's quite difficult for Chinese monk to do, because the weather is different, and also like you should wear the Theravada robe like that. In China is also difficult. So the Vinaya is quite important, I have to say. And also we are not allowed to build houses, build things for ourselves. Yeah, of course, I acknowledge that. However, sometimes it's quite difficult for us not to do it. Okay, like doing farm work. Sometimes we have to. We know that it's against the Vinaya. So what we have to do is to confess, repent. This is on one hand. On the other hand is that we also have Bodhisattva vow, Bodhisattva Vinaya, and this Bodhisattva Vinaya sometimes put some priority for other sentient beings rather than ourselves. So that is also another reason sometimes you will see some Chinese monks, especially in the ancient time, doing crazy things. For example, carrying a woman across the river. And obviously it's against the Vinaya, right? Obviously it's quite against the Vinaya. However, this was in some kind of extreme occasion, because if you don't cross the woman across the river, then nobody could at that time, and also probably she would be in danger. So at that situation, it's more important for you to save the life of the lady instead of being afraid of breaking the Vinaya. So there are some situations. That's basically because of the Bodhisattva Sila, Bodhisattva Vinaya. That's another reason. And the third reason is because for Mahayana, we have the idea of like, how can I put it? Like gain and lose. Okay, gain and lose. We know that this is not good to do this, then we lose something, right? We lose something. But because of doing this is a bad thing. We do it, and we lost something. But at the same time, because of this, we gain something more. For example, building the apartments, things like that. And it's not good to do that. But in the long term, you will find that it's good, because it will be beneficial for our practice, and it will also be good for the donors, for the devotees to make their paramita, like a dana paramita, things like that. So you need to have the balancing way to look at these kind of things that are obviously against the Vinaya, and we admit that. So
okay,
once I was told by one of our, okay, so I think that's the answer. Yeah.
yes.
Hello.
Bante cannot hear you. Yeah, Bante,
Okay,
you
now I
have
can
a.
hear.
There you go.
Want
Fix it.
maybe
The history.
Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot to open the microphone. So
Hello.
yes,
So the question for this, I think is quite interesting. Uh-huh. Okay. So the difference between Sanskrit scripture and Bali scripture. All right. So originally everything was just in the verbal transmission. There was no written scriptures, not in Bali, not in Sanskrit. But like hundreds of years later, then people began to write these orally transmitted doctrines and sutras down. And some of them prefer to write it in Bali, and some of them prefer to write it in Sanskrit. Okay, so probably in the northern part of India, I'm not quite sure about this knowledge, but I guess that it depends on the places where people they prefer the language. Okay, so for some of the places in ancient India, they might think that writing Sanskrit was convenient for them, and then they wrote it in Sanskrit. And some of them they probably consider it to be more uh, suitable to write them down in Bali, and they did it in Bali. So this is my understanding. But for me, I don't think it's quite important whether something should whether something is written in Bali or Sanskrit.
okay. Um, the internet signal of Pixel Lidong, it's a little bit weak, so that's why concern to the Tipitaka or the Buddhist scriptures. I also have very interesting that why Sanskrit is in China or written the Mahayana scriptures and why Pali is written in the Theravada Buddhist tradition. This is also very interesting. Okay, Venerable Varapanyo, what do you think about this?
Yes.
Okay, you come back, right? Okay. His internet
Well,
signal is okay.
yeah, having some problems. But, I think with the Mahayana and Theravada, and this mean the Pali and the Sanskrit, it's really very simple. Buddhism, one of the oldest religions. And so the Buddha was teaching, and many, many thousands of in India, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people in India become Buddhist. And then there are thousands and thousands of monks, maybe a million of monks, maybe more than a million monks. So after the Buddha died, after some time, the monk practice at that time was always to wander, to be a homeless. So the monks were constantly traveling, constantly going out and sharing the Dhamma in different places. So in this case, some people went east, some monk went west, some monk went north, some monk went south. And so depending on where they went, the tradition they carried with them became more and more unique. But in Buddhism, we find that the basics of Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, uh, praticca, pratisamuppada, dependent origination, uh, all of the fundamentals of Buddhism are they're secular, meaning that they're non-religious, totally a philosophy of mind, a kind of scientific examination and processing of the human mind and the human body and human experience, but also they're fully agreed upon by all the schools. So Mahayana, Theravada, Vajrayana, Tibetan Buddhism, which is quite popular. All of these basics of Buddhism are one, really non-religious, and also they're fully connected. They go together, and there's no debate or argument between the schools about the basics of Buddhism. So there's different flavors and there's different approaches to teaching Buddhism and to explaining Buddhism, to spreading the Dhamma. But at the core, at the heart of Buddhism, we're really talking about a science of mind, a philosophy of mind that is from, ancient India. And it's quite wonderful that this ancient philosophy from thousands of years ago happened to be a philosophy that still applies today in the modern era. And even modern psychology and modern science is looking at some of the Buddhist teachings for information and for development of the society. You know, many people in the West are talking about mindfulness and meditation and compassion, these kinds of things. So the differences in the Buddhist schools, it's really different flavors of tea. Some tea is very strong, some tea is very weak, some tea has a sour taste, and some tea has a sweet taste. So we just, as a sincere follower of the Buddha and the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, I think it's very important that we appreciate each school and we be open to learning about other schools and not having any kind of, fighting about it or debating about it. It's more to learn about the different perspectives of people who are following the teachings of the Buddha.
All right, that's very great. About the middle path, how to find a balance of ourselves when we go to relate something or even believe. We have to try balance, and between two sides, or when we live in the situation in the society, we in order to live in that society peacefully and happily, we also have to set our mind, right view, right thoughts, and able to find the balance. Um, very nice for that. And we got a question from Miss Carol. One more question about the ritual that we have practiced in the temple. For example, we offer the flowers, incense, chopsticks, flutes, on the altars to offer to the Buddha. What is its meaning about this?
Joystick. Chopstick, you mean chopstick, right? Well, I don't know the word joystick. I don't know that
Incense.
word.
Incense. Incense.
Incense. Okay.
Yes.
The purpose of praying. I think it's the same with the Theravada, right? The purpose is that it's not on the Buddha side. It's rather on the devotee side. That uh, this is the practice of yourself, that you need to practice dana paramita, right? And and also this is your action of taking refuge in the Buddha. So actually, the Buddha doesn't really need your praying and your flower or fruits or whatever, because the Buddha is everywhere. The Dharma is everywhere, and so like what we believe, the Dharmakaya, the Buddha Dharmakaya is everywhere. So he doesn't need your things, right? So this is your mind. You are cultivating your mind by doing all of these things.
Also, to add to that, you are practicing generosity. But when we look at the Buddha and when we look at monks and we think, oh, I want to pay respect to the monk, I want to pay respect to the Buddha. The reason for this is very clear. It's because the Buddha embodied compassion. The Buddha embodied generosity. The Buddha embodied loving kindness and gentleness and wisdom. So when we look, the proper way to offer incense and to offer flowers and to offer fruit, when we look at the Buddha, the statue of the Buddha, we are not just looking at a statue, because that's all that there is, a statue. What we are looking at is the living embodiment of generosity, of compassion, of kindness, of the power of wisdom. So in the modern society, in the modern Western society, people often, and in modern society everywhere, people are seeking power. They are seeking money. They are seeking pleasure. And when they see someone in a fast car or nice clothes or a big house, they worship in some way. They pay respect in some way to this person's money, to this person's power, sometimes to a person's violence, to their aggressiveness. They pay respect. So to be a Buddhist means that we pay respect to compassion. When we see compassion, we see power. We pay respect to loving kindness. When we see loving kindness, gentleness, we give our respect. We bow down. We really put ourselves and our heart and our mind down low, because we are appreciating the power of that compassion, that loving kindness. So when you offer a nice fruit and an incense and this kind of thing, you're really offering to yourself, to your own mind. You are appreciating the loving kindness that is inside yourself, that the Buddha represents, and the wisdom inside yourself to cut through suffering. And you are paying respect to that. You are appreciating that. So over time, when you do that more and more, when you teach your children to appreciate that and to pay respect to that, they will learn to develop that on their own. And in the future, when you see someone who is gentle and kind and compassionate, you will support them. And when you see someone who has a fast car or lots of money, lots of things, you will, maybe you are interested, but you don't just say, oh, this is the best, this is the number one. No, because you are practicing that you pay respect to higher ideals than just money and pleasure. You're paying respect to the Buddha heart and the Buddha wisdom that we all kind of sharing. And we see in ourselves, and the monks, we wear this robe because this is the most important thing to us. So every day when we wake up and when we put on the robe, we are paying respect to the Buddha. We are paying respect to patience, generosity, compassion. and so we we hope to represent that, but that is what the Buddha represents. So that is the practice of offering to the Buddha, to the altar, to the stupa, whatever it is.
Okay, that's very meaningful for complete the about the praying respect. All right, so let's move to this question. Very very in contrast between, not contrast, but I mean that in the Theravada tradition are free to eat, but in Mahayana Buddhist tradition you have to be vegetarian. So that's why from monk, okay, Kin Pola, I think he's a monk, okay, as a lay Buddhist, okay, followers, should we follow vegetarian or meat tradition?
Well, I have to say that for those who have received Bodhisattva Sila, we are not allowed to eat meat because it's clearly forbidden in the Bodhisattva Sila in Mahayana. But for those who didn't receive Bodhisattva Sila, in China, we encourage people to eat, Buddhist followers to eat vegetarian, but that doesn't mean that they can't eat meat. They are just encouraged to. It has two reasons. One is the Bodhisattva Sila. The other reason is because in China, in the history, there was one emperor, Liang Wudi. He was a very strong supporter of Bodhisattva practice. So he just gave an order saying that none of the Buddhist followers should offer meat to the monks in China. Before his time, actually, monks in China had some of them they ate meat, but because of this emperor's order, so no monks in China was allowed to eat meat ever since. So that has something to do with two reasons. One is the Bodhisattva Sila, the other is the order from that Buddhist emperor.
And actually, we got many comments from our followers who helping us, answer the question. Maybe all the monks, all venerable, have seen in the comments from Ning Sui. I'm sorry if I read your names incorrect. And from NG Xinjiao, they also try to give explanation to cover all the question from our followers, like many things. I'm sorry if we can't read the whole comments. I mean, I will go back and get through. It's very meaningful. And right now, let me inform to all the watcher and followers, we are doing Facebook Live. It's already one hour and 30 minutes, almost 30 minutes, 24. So that's why we almost finished our Facebook Live. So we want to conclude. Okay, we want to conclude, make it smaller and concerned to our topic today. But what we have discussed so far, it's all about this two school, Theravada and Mahayana school, to be like compare. If we don't compare to the other side, we cannot see a clear picture. All right, so that's why I think we try to help each other to conclude what we have discussed so far. So let me invite Pixel Lidong. Would you please make it briefly what we have discussed so far today, the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, Mahayana Buddhism. If people want to understand, how can you explain?
Well, I really appreciate this occasion, that I could share some of my opinions and some of my knowledge on Mahayana Buddhism. Actually, I'm not so confident with all of the authenticity of the knowledge and perspective that I gave. I hope that if there is any error or misunderstanding, I sincerely apologize for that, and also repent for this misinformation, for this mistake of the information. And my conclusion is that Mahayana is Buddhism, and we practice what the Buddha taught. And with my experience in Thailand for 3 years, I have to say there's very little difference between Theravada and Mahayana. Sometimes we just follow different ways of interpreting the doctrines, and if there is really some difference, I guess it's that for Mahayana, maybe we have some, like, we have more sutras, and these more sutras can give us more ways to achieve the goal. And the goal, of course, is the same, is to end the suffering and get liberation. So that's what I perceive this difference. But I do appreciate the systematic teaching and practice in Theravada. I went to many meditation centers in Thailand and in Myanmar. I really enjoyed those techniques, and I really enjoyed those atmospheres. And I really admire those monks with very good manners. I do praise all of the efforts Theravada has made in contribution to the development of Buddhism and to the benefit of the sentient beings. I do hope that we have such kind of exchange in future, and we can have more communication, so that we can expand our view on Buddhism. And for those who do not have access to the other tradition, then it's a very valuable opportunity. Right now in China, Theravada is becoming more and more popular, especially Vipassana meditation. So I hope that in future we can have more discussion over such topics. Thank you for inviting, and thank you for all of the venerables, your support and your comments. Thank you very much.
Yes, so I also want to acknowledge to our let's say Dharma friends who try to answer all the question that we cannot bring into the group. You know, let's say from sorry, Pixel Lightong, can you read their name for me? They are Chinese or Nung.
I think one is
Yes.
Xin
I want to
Zhao,
acknowledge
Xin
them.
Zhao, and Neng Xiu.
Nung Xiu.
Yeah.
Yes, I really want to thanks to their knowledge, and I want to
Yes.
also go back to read that as well. So thank you for a great all the venerables. We are walk together in Buddha way to cultivate mind and developing Buddhist studies. And I very thank to those comments. Yeah. Before we end this Facebook Live, we also I on behalf of the one who lead this program, very thanks to all the venerables, let's say Piku Varapanyo, who always like a volunteer in this Monkchat Facebook Live to share his knowledge and like be our Dharma friends. If we are without him, maybe we have problem of the communication. He is the like a native speaker, so that's why he able to help us when we get like a trouble with some question. And Prabhu and yes, Pixel Laidong is already gone. Yeah, I really appreciate it to his knowledge. What he have explained is very clear and very knowledgeable. Yes. Uh, anyone want to say acknowledging for our Facebook Live today? Please.
Okay, so I've learned a lot today, and actually, there's something that I have learned. I have never known before about the Mahayana Buddhism, and actually, so today I have opened a little further about my point of view on Mahayana Buddhism and understand more about the Theravada Buddhism, which is I have never known before, especially a the concept of like eating meat or something, and the concept of like the Buddha, things like that, which is what we are practicing, which is and actually is not that really different. What we have the view before that, and actually, so a lot of new things that I learned today.
Yes, thank you, Prasambun. Piku Varapanyo, would you like to say some acknowledging?
Yeah, thank you to all the venerables, of course, and thank you to everyone who come together for this monk chat. To come together, to listen to the Dhamma, to practice the Dhamma together. It's a very rare opportunity. So I'm very thankful for this, this inspiration to do that we can practice together. And of course, very thankful to the Mahayana monk who come from China. He have a lot of information, and really great to hear from him. So I look forward to the next time we can all get together and practicing the Dhamma together. And of course, thank you to Prabun, Prabon. They're also very, in the background, doing a lot of integral work with Monkchat, supporting Monkchat. So I also have a gratefulness for them. And of course, Venerable Son, for organizing everything and keep coming back to do this monk chat. I think it's such a great idea, and yeah, so I'm thankful to everyone.
Okay, Pravan, in order to be a good listener today, what did you learn?
Okay. Actually, today I didn't intend to listening only, but because of my internet is so weak, so that's why I have to turn everything off. So a lot of things from the Buddhism and Mahayana, the difference between Taoism and Mahayana, but the difference
Okay.
is the culture and the sorry.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
because your internet
So
signal is very
yeah.
weak. Yes.
Um. Right. Okay.
Mhm.
Overall, thank you very much for on the venerable monk who have been participated this kind of program and SMS the venerable Lai Tong, Lai Dong, who has been a very great great speaker for for our life today. Actually, he is the main person for this life, and hopefully for our audiences would have learned something new, especially about the difference between two kind of schools. And if you want to learn more, please study by yourself. And next time, we hope you uh, become and join with our life again. And this life is not about the asking, but you can also answer as each other. Thank you very much.
Okay. So anyway, I also won't disturb all the venerables' time. Thank you for dedicate your time, your kindness, compassion, love, respect for this Facebook live streaming. Thank you. Good night.